is requested that we record.
Okay.
Wait. Now,
Okay.
take it away.
So Jack contacted me yesterday, and what my book report is Jane Eyre, which you can see all kinds of by Charlotte Bronte, which is a trip into the past. If for those of you who had read it as when you were younger, it was quite a feat. When it's actually called, and I didn't know this, Jane Eyre, an autobiography. It was exploded onto the Victorian scene, literary scene in October of 1847. The queer, quizzical looking author from the Yorkshire moors, publicly known only by her gender ambiguous pseudonym Currer Bell, was poised to begin her meteoric rise into the ranks of great novelists. It was quite interesting, and it is an autobiography. She had the same, if you read the novel, she starts out and she's a plain child at the mercy of her Aunt Reed. And then she moves through, they send her to a school, and she moves through her life, and Jane Eyre is all about that. You may remember, if you watch the movie, I think 72 different movies were made of this novel, and famously Orson Welles and Joan Fontaine were in when was that, 1943. So the question I had as I was looking for a book and why reread something like this that's a Victorian romance was, why did it strike me and why do I love it so much when I was a teenager? And I found as you get into different stages in your life, novels or books have a whole different meaning. So this was one of those. And the question was, why is it still relevant? This is back from the Victorian era. In fact, Queen Victoria famously said she read it to her dear Albert from cover to cover, and she could not put it down. It was brought out in serial, as many novels were at that time. So the question I'm going to talk about, if you're somewhat familiar with the story, is why is it still relevant? Readers still love Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, and why not? The novel has every quality needed for a total story immersion. A sympathetic heroine in plain, mistreated, brilliant, independent Jane, a dashing, mysterious, sexy, romantic lead in Mr. Rochester, a spooky Gothic atmosphere, and a chilling mystery. A host of villains in Aunt and John Reed, Mr. Brocklehurst, Blanche Income, and more. Aids to the heroine. So her best friends and saints in the novel are Helen, Mrs. Fairfax, and Jane's cousins. There are moral temptations, thrills, fires, courageous escapes, sorrow, and suspense. But beyond joyful immersion in a wonderful, well-told story, why would readers return to it again and again? Is it just a pretty romance, as maybe as teenagers or maybe in junior high or high school we read the novel? Or are the moral dilemmas that Jane faces and the particular set of problems, do they seem outmoded? And so why does Jane Eyre still matter? And in a more intellectual sense, I think more than just a fun read, Jane Eyre is a subtle, intelligent discussion of the difficulty of choosing among competing value systems. What values and principles should underpin our choices in life? What forces motivate us? These are the important questions Jane Eyre asks us to consider. We watch Jane struggle through these questions and gain insight into how we struggle with values of our own. That's kind of why Jane Eyre still matters. And also as a character, Jane is spunky and determined. She doesn't let all the challenges that she has facing her get her down. And she appeals right to the reader, so she will just as an aside, just say, now reader, I just must tell you the truth here. And then off she goes. Feminists has also good reason to honor Jane Eyre. She is one long cry for freedom and equality of women. Feminists raised her up as someone that in a very early, this is 1840s, when it was let out that it was a cry for social justice for both the poor and women. And I'm going to end there. If there are any questions or you want to talk to me about it, it's really a fun read again. It is, the language is beautiful. The scenes painted are robust and just a wealth of language. So anyway, that's looks like it for me, Gary.
Great. How about a round of applause, everybody?
Again, Charlotte Bronte.